right, take it away, Veronique.
Hi, my name is Dr. Veronique Brown, and today we're going to talk about the importance of balance and staying sane and relevant as a business owner. And it's a matter of really balancing your scale in terms of your weight. So we're going to talk about that more in depth. Go ahead and slide change for me. So it was just a thought, then it was just a dream, and then ... I like to use graphics. So if you look at the then and now, then when it was just a thought, then when it was just a dream, you notice how Mars looks all relaxed and she's loving it and it's all cuddly and what have you. But now if you look at her hair is standing straight up and she has that finger that's pointing at her instead of her holding up that finger. This is relevant. You have to have consistent thoughts in order for them to become dreams. So when you're talking about, or when you first think about having your own business, you think about it and you need to think about, okay, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to branch off? Do I really want to take that leap of faith? And if you continue on and it keeps staying there, then I actually started dreaming about my business. I was waking up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning with ideas, and I kept a notepad next to my bed and I started writing those things down. And then I had to shift where those dreams became realities. And sustaining realities require work. And with that work, you have to actually have some guidance. So I have some key people in my life that I could go to that own their own businesses. One in particular, she's my sister from another mother, Kai Smith. She owns an insurance agency. She also owns a coffee shop. She deals with buying up properties and flipping them. But she is very business savvy. So I sought her out for guidance. And I started developing out my plans. And when it came to materials, I had to look at the things that I needed. So I started to collect things that I knew that I was going to need for my business. And then I had to put in the work. Those are the tasks that you needed to complete. And one of the things that I do now is that I actually write out the things that I need to accomplish. And I put dates down there so that I know, hey, I need to get this done or at least start working on these things. And you have to be very intentional. So it's not, in order to stay balanced, you have to get an alignment between your thoughts, your dreams, and actual actions. Okay. You have to act on what you're saying, or it's never going to come to fruition, or parts of it will. And if you only have parts of a system in place, that system is bound to break down at some point. So yeah, move to the next slide. So things changed, or did they? So you notice that I have a picture here of a family. So some things that you have to consider in terms of keeping your balance and owning a business. You got to think about self. You do. But your decision to move on as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you also have to look at how this is going to impact your family. I remember when I was teaching, and I was teaching higher ed, and I was about to make a decision to go for my PhD. And I had to have a sit-down talk with my husband and with my mother-in-law. And because we have 2 sons, and at the time they were young, so me going to school, my schedule was going to impact more than just me. It was going to impact my entire family. Me deciding to go into business, now that means that my income was going to change. Healthcare benefits were going to change. Things that my children, I used to be able to afford, we were going to have to see, okay, what things are going to stay, what things are going to shift. You have to think about that because a business demands some upfront sacrifices. You have to understand that. And even when it comes to time that I usually would be able to spend with my family. If you're developing a business, now your time is cut, or you have to adjust your time. I actually, when I shifted from moving for an entity and starting my own business, now I get up and I start my day at 3 o'clock in the morning. And some people are like, oh my gosh, 3. But that is a time when it's quiet. You know, at the time, my husband was up and getting about and my sons were, and I was tired. At night, I don't do well working at night. And during the day, I wanted to be able to engage in some things that impacted my children. So I had to make a decision to change out my time. So even though I was changing, there were some other things, dynamics with the family and what have you, that did not change. So we had to mitigate that. Other relationships that you have with people and organizations. I was highly involved with my sorority. I was one of the worker bees. So a decision had to be made in terms of me working with my sorority and working with other organizations. Because one thing you'll understand, and some of you all, you're going to get it. When you do a great job, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because everyone wants you to be on every committee, on every board, So I was like, and you hear these great causes and you're like, yeah, I want to be on that. Yeah, I want to be on that. You want to do with your church. Yeah, I'm on this team. I'm on that team. But when you start your own business, you have to consider those things and you have to prioritize. And I'm not saying to get rid of all of them, but you may have to do some shifts, and there may be some things that you have to eliminate because you have to stay in balance. If you're adding something to your plate, that means that some things have to be taken off of your plate so that you can remain balanced. Because guess what? When you're out of balance, you're actually going to do more harm than good to the organization, to the family, and to self. So business made you change, but there's some other things as part of our atmosphere, as part of our relationships, they didn't change. So you have to learn how to make some adjustments so that you can be whole and you can be positive in everything that you're connected to. Go ahead and change for me. So I still like that. I still do that. I still like to dance. I still like to bowl. I still like to sing. I still like to read books. But I had to, once again, it was a matter of me shifting because maybe I would not have as much time to do those things, or I had to change my schedule. But it's important if you like doing things that you keep those things up. So I said bowling first. So at first, I was going bowling periodically, but then I realized when I stopped doing it as much, the releasing of the ball, the whole action, I know this sounds strange, of hitting the pins, it was a stress reliever. So when I started getting heavy into my business and I found myself getting kind of out of balance because it was becoming consuming and I stopped doing those things, I noticed some behaviors in me that I didn't like. I was snapping more. Anyone that knows anything about Veronique, I can fly off the deep end. So I had to re-engage with those things that helped me to relax. And I had to make intentional efforts. So every Friday, if you come to Vestavia Bowls, you will probably see me. I have my 2 bowling balls and I'm striking some pins because I needed that in order for me to have that outlet. So if there's some things that you know how to do that you like doing, I understand that sometimes you can get consumed with your work because you're trying to make sure that your business is up and running and everything is in place. But once again, a matter of balance is still keeping some of those things that you enjoy doing as a way of release so that you can perform well at your business and when you're networking and meeting with other people. Because if you're tensed up, if you're stressed out, it's going to impact relationships and it's going to impact your performance. And get this, remember, when you are an entrepreneur, when you mess up, it's all on you. When you're dealing with the company, sometimes the company can take the rap. But when it's your name on that, when you mess up, all eyes on you. So that's why you need to make sure that if there's some things that you still like to do, you make intentional efforts to try to include those things in your schedule to help you maintain who you are and keep going. Those things are going to help you keep going. You can go to the next slide. So I need. Okay, let's look at this first bullet. 2 incomes versus 2 expenses. Okay. Let's talk about the 2 expenses. You have your household expenses, and now you have your business expenses. When you work for a company, there are things that you don't even think about. You don't think about paying for the building. You don't think about buying pens and buying paper and paying for internet service. And if your computer goes out, because if you work for a company, they pay for those things. So now you have income. Okay, you may have various contracts, and if you have a husband, you may have some his income or a significant other. But now you have two expenses. You have your household expenses that you used to only have to worry about, and you have your business expenses. So there are some adjustments in terms of how much you spend. I see a lot of people get into trouble that start businesses because they're still trying to ball out. Okay, I'm gonna go there. I don't need to hang with the Joneses. If you like nice cars, that's great. If you can afford the nice car, great. If you can afford the huge home, great. Those things are not as important to me. However, I am not speaking against those things. If you like what you like. However, when you have your own business, you have to consider what is in your budget and to make sure that you keep a savings. This pandemic is really shaking up people because they did not have savings in place. Those people who had significant savings in their accounts are able to survive an extended amount of time. Those people who are living paycheck to paycheck because they felt like they needed something when in actuality it was a want, they are finding themselves in trouble and finding themselves having to go out of business. So you really, especially when you're starting a business and maintaining a business, you need to think about how you are spending your money. Many wealthy people, if you look at wealthy people, they don't just, frivolously spend money. They can, but a lot of them are like, okay, they like nice things. You can like I said, you can like nice things. Just stay in balance. You know that you need to save some money. You need some padding. You need a savings so that you can survive through the hard times. Okay, let's look at this next one. Single with dependents. The dependents are your family members, but also if you own a business and now you have employees, your employees are your dependents because your employees help you keep going in your business. I started off Brown's Education Consulting when it was just me. So I really didn't have anyone else that relied on me for a paycheck. But as I started expanding, I started having to have teams of people because we go out and we service different schools, different educational entities. So when I started having that team, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, people are depending on me. People need their paychecks. I didn't want to be that person, that employer that when it was time to pay the paycheck, I didn't have the money. So I was making excuses. That's just not good business because word will get out that you're not taking care of your people. You have to take care of your people. So when you're talking about things that you want versus things that you need, another reason for you to keep that buffer is to make sure that your people are happy. We're going to come out of this pandemic. When I come out of this pandemic, I still want my people to know that I thought of them. That I'm thinking of them. Those are the people that help to establish your business culture and also establish your sustainability. If you don't have good workers and you have constant turnover, that speaks about you and that speaks about your business as well. And you can't really expand or gain trust like you want to. And you can't establish a quality line because you have that constant turnover. So you do have dependents when you have a business, especially when you start taking on other employees. Sometimes leisure is a need. I already stated that. Sometimes you do need a vacation. So I don't want to classify that as a want because you do need to relax. I'll get kind of personal. I recently had a 2-hour session for a deep tissue massage, and I could actually feel the lumps as the masseuse was doing her do for two hours. And some of it was quite painful, but she was explaining as she was doing it. And she was telling me how your body builds up this fluid due to stress. And so when she was doing that, that was really revealing to me because I was like, dang, I didn't know I had all this in me, but I needed that leisure time because that actually afterwards, I felt like after I got done, I felt like I could work for another 12, 13 hours after I got done with that session. So sometimes those leisure items are necessary in order for you to stay balanced. Now, this last one is important. It says no and absolutely nothing. And you see the pictures, it says nope. It says nope, nope, nope. It says thumbs down. It has the hand, and then it has that crazy like, no. I say that because at one time I had a hard time saying no to people. As I stated before, when you're doing well and when people see that you do quality work, they ask you to do everything. And you and your I want to give back self, you say, I could do it, knowing you don't even realize at the end of the day how many yeses you've said until it's time for you to perform. And then you realize, oh my gosh, what did I say yes to? I have too many things on my plate. You can't do that when you have a business, because there are things that you need to be paying attention to. If you're doing all of these outside things and you're not paying attention to your business, you're setting yourself up for a fall. You're setting yourself up to encounter something that you could have prepped for. And now all of a sudden you're reacting instead of responding. Responses are based on you sitting and analyzing and thinking of different scenarios, and it requires a process. But if you're constantly going, you can't establish a process to make responses rather than reacting. And usually if you're reacting, it doesn't turn out well. So sometimes you need to say no to some things, and sometimes you need to sit back and you need to do absolutely nothing. You know, I hear people say all the time, you know, I asked God for something and I prayed for something and he didn't say anything. He was saying something. If he didn't respond, that means you need to sit down, sit your tail down, and you need to reflect and relax so that you can pay attention to what's going around you and you actually are in a position to actually hear what is being said to you. So sometimes you have to say no. And sometimes you have to do nothing so that you can get yourself in a position to actually receive the answers that may obviously be right in front of you. And because you're so busy, you don't even see it. Okay. You can go to the next slide. So reconnect, disconnect, and connect. Notice I have a picture here. I'm a visual person. I'm a combination learner. You know, that's the educator in me. All right. You got visual, you got auditory, you got kinesthetic, all that stuff. Okay. So you have this extension cord that has these multiple plugs. That's life. We have multiple plugs. And with those plugs, notice none of those plugs, those individual plugs are going to be able to work if the main plug is not plugged into power. Okay. That's for a reason. And some of the things you need to, and it's on a surge protector. So your surge protector is your conscious, is your awareness of something's not right. I need to disconnect some things. I need to connect some things. And notice when it's on and it's properly working, that light is on. But if the circuits are not right, the power switch, the light goes off. So let's talk about these things. Reconnecting. When you're starting a business, I hope that you can start reflecting and think about some people that maybe you haven't seen in a while, but you know that they may have areas of expertise, or you've seen where they've done well, and you may need to reconnect with them. So what's important about that? Don't burn bridges. You know, I say that you can learn something from people of different personalities, and just because you don't necessarily hang with them doesn't mean that you can't learn from them later. So watch out for the people that you are meeting, that you're engaging with, because it may seem like you don't have anything in common with them now, but later on you may say, hey, I remember them from a networking activity. I remember going out to dinner with them with a group of friends and their conversation, and you may need to reconnect with them because now they may be able to add something to your business. They may have some connections. They may provide a service or a product, or they may have connections that they can relay back to you. So you may have to reconnect with some people, but in order for you to reconnect with people, you have to make sure that that plug is not burned out. You didn't do something to harm that. So watch how you're talking to people. Watch who you're talking about. Watch how you respond to social media, because people are very aware. Okay. So disconnect. That's hard. Sometimes you have to disconnect from negative people. Pastor T.D. Jakes, he made reference to need versus feed. I understand that we have some people in our lives that call on us because they need certain things from us, or every time it seems like they call on us, they're asking us for advice, or they have a problem or issue. You don't need to abandon, them, but you may have to limit your conversations with them, because you need to make sure that you are being fed as well. And so that is being fed at church, your spiritual people that you're connected to, being fed by other entrepreneurs, people that are successful. You don't always need to be the smartest person in the world, in the room. You need people who are going to challenge you. When you brainstorm, you come and you share your ideas. You need people who are going to question you. Kai does that a lot. My sister Lori does that a lot. Sometimes they aggravate me because I think that I have this great idea, and I come to them and I share my idea. And then the first thing is, well, did you think about this? Well, did you do this? And I'm like, you telling me this is awesome. This is an awesome idea. How dare you question me? But then when I go back after I get over my ego and I humble myself, then I start thinking through. I was like, you know what? I do need to consider that. I didn't even think of it that way. So, in terms of disconnecting, I don't know, this is old school. If you have a landline, sometimes your phone stops working because there's one phone in the house. You have to figure out what phone it is that has, or one socket that has a bad connection. And it causes all the rest of your phones, your landlines, to go dead. So when you're being reflective, you need to consider what relationships cause all of your other outlets to go dead. And you need to make some decisions. They're not always comfortable decisions. But in order for you to keep your stability, keep your balance, that impacts your business directly and indirectly, you have to disconnect. Now, I'll say this. There are some people in terms of social media I've had to disconnect from, and I'm sure some of you all had to do that. If they're saying some crazy stuff with this political climate, there's some people that's been saying some off the wall things on both sides. So, hey, there are some people that have engaged in risque behavior. There are some things that I think that don't correlate with my business and who I am in terms of their presentation, things that they're saying. So you got to make that decision. Some of you all are like, I should be able to say what I want to say. Okay, you can. I should be able to do whatever I want to do. I own my business. I don't have to account for anyone. Yes, you do. See, some people think that if you own your own business, you don't have a boss. You do have a boss. Your boss is the community. Your boss are your potential clients, and you don't know which direction that's coming from. So everyone is your boss. It's even harder when you're an entrepreneur. So you and your relationships through social media and all of that, those things, they matter. So let's talk about connect. So when you're starting your business, especially if it's a business that you don't know all the bells and whistles, you need to do your research. Who else is doing what you want to do or something similar? And if you have not connected with them, you need to shoot them a line. You need to go through LinkedIn, go through Facebook, go whatever you need to do, talk to other people so that you can get connected to people that have walked where you want to go. Why make things hard and reinvent the wheel? You may want to slightly change your approach, but if you have some people that have already had the lived experience and they already have the battle scars, why would I want to get a battle scar that I can avoid? Now, I understand that I can't avoid all of them, but be humble enough to say, I keep saying humble. Yeah, in order to stay balanced, you have to be humble. Did you all hear me? You have to be humble. Okay, so you have to be willing to reach out to people of different backgrounds, racial backgrounds, religious backgrounds, all of that. Different backgrounds so that you can get connected in the right places. And that's going to open the door for you and your business in order to have reach with other people outside of your small village. You want to be able to go branch out. That's how you make your money, by being able to go to branch out and connect, make connections with people and establish new territory. You should want to add territory. And in order, when you move and you enter into new territory, you have to make new connections. So all of this is aligned with the natural. You have to connect. Okay. You can go to the next slide. So we have physical, mental, spiritual equals wholeness. And that O is what I want to focus on. It's a suffix that means relating to a process or an action. All of those things are significant. Physical, actions. Are you talking it? And if you're talking it, are you actually putting some things in place and actually doing some things? Are you consistent? Is it habitual? Are you making sure when you are looking at your business, you're looking at your task that you're completing, whether or not you completed the task on time? Are you evaluating whether or not the things that you did actually worked? Performance-wise, are you asking customers and clients, are they satisfied? Do you even care about that? There are some physical actions that you need to take that ties to your business to make sure that you're staying on top of your game. Your reputation is important. People need to know that they can depend on you. People need to know that you are delivering a service or a product or both that's going to be reliable and that speaks volumes. It's going to align itself with your name, with your brand. With Brown's Education Consulting, I want people to know when I come into your schools, when I deal with your groups, when I come into your businesses, I'm going to give you my all, and my people, my employees are going to give you their all. And that requires me going out and making sure that my clients are satisfied. That is me going out to make sure that my employees are actually doing what they should do that is reflective of my brand. So you can't just sit in the office. You can't just be cute, and you can't just necessarily sit in front of a computer. You've got to actually do some things and go out and do some things to make sure that your business and your business's brand is secure. Mental. You got to keep yourself. We've been talking about balance or what have you, but your mental capacity impacts your physical and impacts your spiritual aspects. So you have to make sure. Some of you all may deal with anxiety. How do you deal with that? You got to be able to deal with it. So you may have to go to a counselor. It ties into the spiritual. So if you don't have a spiritual home, I believe in Jesus. I'll go ahead and say that. I believe. Okay. I said it. Okay. All right. But you have to have your outlet, your spiritual outlet, because that ties into your mental capacity as well. But also, like I said, you have to have your leisure activities. You've got to exercise, get out there, watch what you're eating. All of those things actually impact your mental capacity as well. So if you have those things in place where you're doing some actionable things dealing with your physical health, exercising, getting out, monitoring what's going on with your business, doing a task analysis, evaluating your practices, and collecting the right data. That's another thing with physical. Are you collecting the right data about your business? I think every business needs to have a data plan, an evaluation plan. So with that evaluation plan, you need to have in line how you're going to judge your performance. What artifacts, what instruments are you going to use in order to collect data? What process or timing that you're going to have in place to collect that data and sit down and actually analyze it, and maybe have outsiders review it as well, review the feedback, and then have actionable items of either maintaining or changing to make sure that your business keeps going, keeps moving. If you don't have that in place and you're just doing stuff, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you need help with coming up with an evaluation plan or data plan, I'll put my information up at the back end. I will help you do so. We will create a plan that ties directly to your business and your business's scope of work so that you know that it's relatable, and we will make sure that you understand your data and you're able to do something with that. In terms of the mental aspects, if you need to go see a counselor, I see a counselor. Yeah, Because I need someone that is beyond my family and even beyond my church that I can have some hard conversations with, that helps me talk through some things. So don't think that it's a bad thing because you seek outside help. That actually is a healthy thing. You go and you get checkups for your MD, for your OBGYN. It may not be anything wrong with you, but you still have yearly checkups, check-ins. So why do you think you don't need it in terms of your mental health? Get off that kick to think that something's wrong with you because you want to make sure that you are mentally stable. It's natural, it's healthy, and it's time out for people thinking that there's something wrong with that. In terms of your spiritual connections, make sure that you have a good church home or spiritual connection. I know everyone doesn't believe in going to church. You need something, okay? Whatever it is. I'm not going to tell you what that is. I already told you what I believe in, but that's not why I'm here. But all those things are connected in order to make you whole. Okay. It's a process. And that's why I use this picture, that it's a process. It's not just one thing. It's a series of things that tie into each other that creates this wholeness that equals stability and balance and being relevant. Okay. You can go to the next slide. So I leave you with these keys, and we're going to talk a little bit about this with my time. Every key may not open your house. Find it and mark it. I say that because sometimes we look at other people's success and we look at other people's actions and we say, that's the same formula that I'm going to use. Notice what I said. I said when I was talking about seeking out mentors or seeking out guidance, you get input from them, but it may be some things that you may have to change that is relevant to your business. So you pick, it's kind of like a menu of things, and you pick from that menu the things that are relevant and will add up for your business. But once you find those things, you actually need to document those things. That's why you have that evaluation plan, that data, so that you can actually document the things that you did and then document the things that worked. See, if you're just doing things without a plan, then you won't remember the things that you did. And then when it comes back and you want to replicate success, you can't replicate it because you didn't document it. So you need to have those things down. Okay. So, and that's part of that data is a part of you marking your keys, marking the things that are working for you. Chaos sparks insanity. So let's talk about what chaos is. I've heard some people say chaos is the act of doing the same thing over and over again, and you expect something different. I like that. I also like this one. Chaos is a state of utter confusion. It's confused, mass, or mixture. So let's talk about mass and mixture, okay? So in other words, you stay sane by defining your mass and your weight. Funny thing about mass and weight, those people who know their science or whatever, they're tied to each other, but mass is about the bulk of things, and weight is more about the matter, how it's built up, and weight is more about the force that's placed upon that mass. So you can have a lot of things that you're doing, but they have no weight. A lot of things that you're doing that's really not helping you, not helping your family, not helping your business. And if they're the things that matter to you, but they're really not impacting positively what you're trying to do, then the things are not the issues. It's what matters to you that's really the issue. What matters to you? What should matter to you are the things that are going to bring about positive changes for you, your family, your business, your life. And all those other things should not matter. Other people should matter in terms of making sure that you're a philanthropist, that you're doing things because that empowers you as well when it comes to those people. We talked about negative people as well. You have they shouldn't matter. You shouldn't put your weight into them. You shouldn't put your force in them. Because what happens if you waste your force? You become exhausted. Force requires energy. So if you're putting your force or your energy into things that really don't matter, and it's just a whole lot of mass, it's just a whole lot of stuff, you're out of balance. You're adding things that really are not doing anything to help you stay in balance. Mass is constant as long as energy or matter is not added to the object. So if you really look at the things, prioritize and you look at the things that you decide to put on your plate, and you see where they're actually adding some things and remove the things, the mass that really they don't matter, you may find that you're able to breathe better, sleep better, perform better, think better, relate better. So you have to make a decision about all the things that you decide to include in your life that are tied to your physical, mental, and spiritual health. Is your mass too big, and are you putting too much force behind things that add additional weight that end up causing confusion? Because that mixture of those things that may not be meant to be mixed can cause some things to be out of balance, cause some things to be separated when you need a unified mission. So I need for you all to stay encouraged. I have some things going on with my computer right now, and I don't know whether or not you still can see me, but I hope you can. But I need for you all to stay encouraged and know that, oh, I can see now. Okay, stay encouraged. And I want to go through a list of services that I have to offer at this time. And if you want to engage with me, I would love for you to engage with me. I hope that this was helpful in terms of your keys, in terms of staying balanced, in terms of keeping your sanity. And I'm here to help you. So let's talk about some ways that I may be able to assist you. If you could go to the next slide. Next slide. Did we get a delay? Okay, I don't know what's going on with the next slide, but I'll talk about it. So we service not only schools, we service other entities that are tied to educational purposes. Another thing that I wanted to say about my background, I have a decade of K-12 experience. I also have a decade in higher ed experience. I'm ACT certified. I have my counselor certification as well. So, and I do analytics, I do research and what have you to help organizations. So I help you all create plans, but I also help with assessments. I help with people that are working on their doctorates. I wish more people would take me up on that. You know, I have proof that I can help you get through that dissertation process if you decide to do that, or go through your master's if you need help with your writing. I can help with that as well. In terms of going through the evaluation process of your organization, I can help you create those plans. I have teams of people that will come in and provide services to schools. They'll come in and we'll take over the school, or we can do things online. I also will come in and we have people that will help AAU teams, other organizations, churches, and what have you. Because it used to be a time when I went to church, we didn't wait on the school to help students. Our church members used to come in and bring in people, and we used to have sessions at the church or what have you. I think that we need to have more of a village mentality in order for us to support our people out there. I don't want to dwell on that, but you all already read from my promo that I am all for the village concept. We also assist with helping with instruments. If you need to create different instruments for evaluation, we will help and assist with that as well to make sure that you're collecting the right data. So that's Brown's Education Consulting. I want you to notice something. Just because you decide to go into one field, some of you all may have gone to college and you got a degree in one area, and you may stick with that area, or you may go somewhere else. I know a lot of people that went to law school and they're actually not practicing law. They're doing other things. I got education degrees. I taught for some time, but now I'm a business owner. And even though I'm in education, I'm not actually in a classroom. So that whole thing about balance, I knew that it was time for me to shift to do something else. besides just being in the classroom. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that. I love my teachers. I support them. But I knew that there was something that else in life that I wanted to do. So I had to take that leap of faith. And plus, I thought about it. I kept dreaming about it. And I decided to do some things to realize that. So it's a process. It's a process. So that's it for me. I don't know if we have any questions or answers. We do have a slide. I don't know why it's not moving and I can't move it. So I will wait on Miss Attorney Spears to give us some direction on what she would have us to do. But I have enjoyed our talks, and I am my information is at the bottom. If you want to email me, please do so. I will do a consultation with you, or it doesn't even have to be a consultation. That's real formal. If you need to talk, or if you want to go over anything that I shared with the slide or anything else, just let me know. And I have no problem with doing that. I'm here to support the village, and I love doing what I'm doing, and I love to support others. I know some people find that hard to believe, that someone would actually want to be out there and service their community without expecting anything in return. But that is actually something that brings me joy, and actually something that helps me remain balanced, being able to give back and support others and share what was given to me. Had it not been for some strategic people in my life that gave me some insight, and they were willing to walk with me through some difficult times, I would not be in the place that I'm in today. And I acknowledge that. I humble myself because of that, because I know that it could have gone another way. But by grace, I'm here. And Brown's Education Consulting is going strong. Even during the pandemic, believe it or not, we're getting more business. I'm getting more business during the pandemic than I did during the normal school year. So you know that's something else. But hey, that goes with adjusting and staying balanced as well. Okay, I got a few minutes. Okay, because I have some great connections with people, they were able to tell me and help me adjust my business, because at first I was a business that always went into the schools and always went into the buildings. They helped me make some adjustments in terms of my platform, my service provision that would be aligned to the needs for the pandemic. So I was able to do a quick shift of what I had planned, because I had strategic people in place to help guide me through to make sure that I could still keep my business going. That's another reason why it's so important to make connections with people, because nothing stays the same. You're always going to have shifts. You have to have a mindset to be able to move and go with the flow in order for you to sustain your business. So that was a helpful thing, and I appreciate that. Nina, if you wanted to, you could share the Brown's Education video, or we can do Q&A, or you could go to the next slide and we can move on. If not, I'm good. Okay. If I have any chats or anything, you can enter your chats in as well. Not sure what's going on. I'll stay on in case she comes back. I really can't tell you what's going on the other. Yeah, we got a slide change. Okay. All right. I don't know what happened right there, but with technology, anything can happen. I did want to share with you all for the Black Women Mean Business. There's a promo here for participants. If you want to set up a consultation between now and next week, any services that you contract out for, there's a 15% discount. You can also review my services on my website at brownseducationconsulting.com. My email address is there for you all to write down, and there's a listing of services there for and I deal with both academics and social emotional learning. I am a big proponent of social emotional learning with our students, with our kids, especially during this time. And that deals with not dealing with things like management skills, conflict resolution, social skills, being able to have conversations with people, being able to set goals, and being able to work with others. We actually do activities with students to work through those things. I will share with you this. How do you expect for students to know how to deal with different scenarios with them now being closed in and isolated? We learn many things about life by actually having lived experiences. So now our kids are cooped up at home. They're not being exposed to certain things. So if we want to help them resolve those issues and be able to fill in those gaps, not just academic gaps, but gaps dealing and socializing with people so that they can actually get a job, get a business, and actually keep it, we need to not just deal with academic factors. We need to deal with social emotional factors as well. We actually work with employers with that as well. Some of them have come to us and said, hey, we have some employees, we keep having high turnover because they don't know how to deal with conflict. They don't know how to stay off of their social media. They don't know how to take criticism. And we actually work with employees and help them work through those things, build those skills so that we can help employers keep their work staff. I told you, if you want to establish a culture of excellence, you've got to be able to keep good employees there. So if you have some people, some young people, some even older people that they would otherwise be great workers, but they need some help with some social skills, we have a curriculum that we use for that. We can assist you with that as well. And that last thing is talking about the whole evaluation and professional development. We offer that as well in setting up professional development for people in a plethora of topics. We'll sit down with you and see what they may need training in, and also help you build an evaluation plan. I want to open the floor for any questions and answers. I see that Miss Attorney Spears is on now. So if we can open the floor for that, and I'm good.
Awesome, Veronique. That was really good and informative. And I mean, more than that, that was just kind of like a breakdown of some of the harder stuff that we don't really want to deal with, right? Because we just want to keep going like the Energizer Bunny. But just like myself, I get burnt out from things. You'll probably get to a point in business where you can't just keep going. And yeah, you were able to pull it off that last time and the time before that and the time before that. But one time, you gonna fall asleep at the wheel, fall behind, or whatever, and then someone's gonna be able to pick up on the fact that you have been burnt out because you're not establishing balance in life. In your life, you've allowed your business to overtake your actual life. And I think that these skills and subsets and having a plan makes that less overwhelming for a lot of people. So
and let me say this, and because you know I love you. You and another young lady, Lisa, I'll go ahead and call her out. I pray for you all, and I say things to you all because I see a lot of myself in you all, and I see that you two are very outgoing, and you want to do so much, and you're so smart, and you have so much to offer, and people see that immediately, and they have you all involved in so many things. And when I say that to you all, slow down. And you need to and do an analysis of the need and feed things, because there may be some things that you want to say yes to, but you may not need to say yes to because you have to prioritize so you don't burn yourself out. Because what do we do? If you're have too much on your plate, you're not going to get quality. You'll get quantity, but not quality, and that's waste. So, that's out of love.
Yeah. I appreciate all the feedback. And I mean, you talking like I wasn't just falling asleep. I told you before this, I was falling asleep because I am dead tired. That's why I don't even have my video on. And that's me being transparent with y'all because I decided that I could do this for 2 days straight, which I usually can. But we haven't slept for the past 2 days regularly. It does catch up with you. So I was only speaking from a place of, yes, Mama Veronique, I got you.
Yeah.
I'm always speaking from that place, y'all. I never try to pretend like I got it all together. It just looked like it, right, on the internet. But we know because I get on the internet for real and show y'all my story. If y'all see my story, that's when y'all see me crying, these thug tears. Don't follow in my footsteps. Do better. Because at the end of the day, if you don't establish these protocols like Veronique's talking about, you will be falling asleep at the wheel, completely stressed out. And at some point, your business is going to overtake your life and you're not going to be able to steer it back on course because you're going to have your business seeping into every area when in fact your family's over and it's time for you to engage. But all you can do is just hustle and grind. And you're just addicted to this, automatic applause that you get every time you hustle, grind, and get some type of reward. Sometimes there is no reward. Sometimes it's just work and just a lot of work. And that work doesn't necessarily come with a pat on the back. And that's just something that I learned from what Veronique's been talking about this whole time is that sometimes you're not going to get a pat on the back, but sometimes you need to give yourself a break and tell yourself, you know what, sit down, because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to burn out at the wrong moment, right when you're supposed to make an impact on somebody that could change your entire business acumen, your entire business life.
Yes.
So I think the biggest question that I think I have for you, Veronique, that I think would be very helpful for them is not necessarily the deep questions that I asked the other speakers, but what is your motivational message for people that have this? Because this is common, like the burnout, the overworking yourself, the kind of hustlenomics or hustlepreneur that is happening nowadays. How do you motivate people who are convinced that if they continue to work hard, it's just going to pay off and they're not going to have any repercussions? Because I do not know how to convince those people. I don't know how to convince myself. So I'm asking for me and for other people that experience this. I just got to keep going all the time. I had to go sit myself down while I was planning another event. I was like, Dina, you don't need to do no more events. You sit down. You said December 15th was your week. That was your day this month when everything was going to go to close. So that's what you need to commit to. And that was hard for me to hear, but that's what I said I was going to do. And I had to keep my word.
One thing I'll tell you this. I don't know if you've seen pictures of me, but back in the day, I was almost 300 pounds. So I was working myself to a point, and food was my addiction. Or when I was trying to stay awake, I found myself eating. And I was putting on pounds. I was on 4 blood pressure medicines at age 35. And basically, my doctor told me that if I kept going, I was going to die. So I had to reevaluate myself. My mom had a stroke when she was earlier in age. And she still has some issues. She's been disabled, had to stop work, all of that. So I had a picture of my mother and I had to make a decision. Do I want to end up like this? Relationships with my husband and my children, I had to make sure that those things were maintained because I wanted them to know that mama could support them. And I know that you all eventually you want a family, you want a life. If you don't get this check now, what are you going to have to offer to that mate later on? You're never going to be able to slow down to even see what God or what is meant for you to have because you're so busy. So when you keep yourself so busy and so exhausted, what you said is correct. You miss out on opportunities that are right in front of you. You miss out on pure joy and happiness because you're just worried about what's happening rather than what is good for you. So you're setting yourself up for failure. And if you really, you will find yourself going through this cycle where you think things are getting better, but then it's like a crash and burn. And that cycle is really telling you those are signs of you need to change something. So if you refuse to change, you're gonna continue to go through this vicious cycle of, and I understand we still have highs and lows, but when you get to a point where you're to the point of exhaustion and it's too much, your lows are real low. And sometimes people hit so low that they can't find their way back up. And it becomes devastating, drastic. They lose everything. They lose their business. They lose friendships. They lose family. So when you're making your decisions on the things that you decide to tie yourself to, that becomes soul ties, you need to evaluate, is it worth separating a tie with your family, the people who are important with you, your real friends that are going to suffer because you are so involved in so many other things. So that balance is necessary, because your family and your friends help you and your business sustain itself. Those other things will drag it down to the ground. And then after you lose it and you have all the waste, the carnage that is around you, you're wondering, how did this happen? Where did I go wrong? And you're so exhausted that you didn't see that you had signs of things declining the whole time. You had signs that you should have changed. You had signs of you need to pull up. You had signs of you need to disconnect from some things. But because you're so busy, you just kept going to the point where it's almost like having cancer, but you refuse to acknowledge it. And what happens if you have that cancer and you refuse to acknowledge it? It eats you up from the inside. And by the time you realize it, you're already on your deathbed. So I'm motivating people to stop and pay attention. Make a list of all of the stuff that you're in. Make a list of all the people that are connected to you that are pulling from you. Make a list so that you can see for yourself and then really analyze the things that you need to keep and pray about it, and things you need to keep and the things that you need to get off of your plate. Because if you're going back and forth and you find your physical, your mental, and your spiritual states all over the place, that is a sign that something is not right. Please pay attention to me. If you find yourself with addictions to alcohol, to men, women, to eating, all of those things are signs that something is out of whack. Something is not working. Pay attention. Pay attention and do something about it. Because if you don't do something about it, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose your business, or you're going to be struggling, and you're not going to be able to enjoy your business. It's one thing to have a business, but when you can't even enjoy the business, enjoy the fruits of your labor, you might as well work for someone. If you can't enjoy what you've created and help it evolve into something else because you're so stressed out because you're out of balance, go get you a job somewhere else. Go get you a job with a company. At least you can get some benefits with that. So you have to make some decisions to stay balanced so that your business is something that will work for you and you're not working for it. That's my motivation.
And in an attempt to stay balanced, we are going to cut it short so we can do your final wrap-up call. We'll do that on Zoom separately from this. So just go to the Zoom link in your meeting after this. But we just want to thank you so much, Dr. Veronique, Dr. Veronique Zimmerman Brown. I just like saying it. It's just like rolls off the tongue. But I just really do appreciate, you guys' insights. And, people will, go back and watch this later and give insights. So stay with your video. It'll be streaming live on the law firm page, YouTube and Facebook. And then you can share that Podia link that we sent you. And that'll have all of the talks easily accessible for all of your networks. But everything that you've said, it's just a good accountability thread, right? Because if you can hold yourself accountable, and maybe you don't have those people, there are some people like Veronique out there that will be like, hey, you need to do this, and you respond to me. Hey, I'm here. I exist. I got you. I'm with you. I'm going to hold you accountable. No, you said you was going to do this. And that's sometimes what we need, because we don't have people that do that for us. Then what's going to happen is we have a lot of yes people surrounding us. and telling us that we're doing a great job, when in fact we are actually doing an imbalanced, imperfect job of something that really would need more attention and time and dedication for us to be at our best selves. So
Attorney Spears, you hit it right on the nose, sister.
yes. So all of us think that we're doing our best, right? When you're running ragged. And this talk, I hope this helps you remember that if you're running ragged, you are still not performing at your best version. So like today, I had a pitch, right? And I was super tired. I stayed up all night working on the pitch because I just wanted it to be perfect. And they gave me 5 extra days. But those 5 extra days were a blessing. Now, anybody else would have been pissed off, mad. I stayed up all night. But had I seen the email from them, they had told me this a day ago. I didn't get the email, didn't see it, missed it. And so I was working as if, it existed. But sometimes God can bless you and you got to have your mind in the right place. So for me, I was like, 5 more days. Well, shoot, I got the presentation darn near ready. I just needed to go check it one more time. And I just didn't feel like everything was perfect. So that's perfect. So that's the thing. I want you guys to soar. And this is a break. This is the break that you needed. And the next thing you guys are going to hear about after this, because I just feel like, I don't know, maybe they had some type of secret plan on how they booked their schedules, but right after Veronique's talking about her topic, boom, the next topic y'all are about to hear is understanding what it means to be in your waiting season. I think they planned this, y'all, like behind my back, because that's going to be a great talk to follow this and complement this talk. But I want you guys to really engage with the information that was provided and engage with Veronique. That information that she gave you about there being some discounts and consulting, when there's a freebie offered for a limited period of time, that means that it is not normally offered and it might not never be offered the same way again. So y'all take advantage of it. And it's holiday season, so maybe feel good, give somebody consulting for Christmas, or maybe you got a friend or whatever that says they're going to do something and they need an accountability partner. Let me tell you, Veronique will show up to everything you ask her to come to, I promise you, and she'll make sure that you on time too. So just know, guys, if you need in your life, if that's the type of people you want in your kids' lives to kind of push them to their best possible self. I have personally witnessed Veronique stop kids in malls and try to make sure that the ACT scores and everything were at the top level and ask them to be serious. And I've seen them change and shift from, I'm kind of interested to, oh my gosh, where can I sign up? Because it's all about intentionality. Kids love rules, but kids love to know that you care about them being successful. And that's one thing that I can say, bar none, that I see in Veronique. Every time I talk to her, she cares about somebody's kid that's walking around who don't know nothing about ACT, SAT prep. She gonna tell you, I promise you, she'll stop you in the mall. So if you don't,
I care about the adults too, because I hold them accountable as well. Not just the students, but the adults.
But I will give you them kids, they just know. Miss Veronique know you. You taught me for ACT, you right. So she'll remember every single face. So don't think you can go through any type of consulting with her and she won't remember you years down the road. So that connect, reconnect, disconnect part of her talk, she has all of those mastered because nobody's a stranger once they've connected with her. So make sure that that's your process for how you connect with your business and how you grow your business. Because you're not going to grow to your next level until you learn how to manufacture and maintain connections over a period of time. And I have communicated that in all of my groups with clients, with potential law students. That's just so important. You cannot create meaningful connections where people will get on a conference that you decided to plan one night out of your dreams and say, hey, can you do an hour master class for these people? It's like 12 of y'all. Can y'all all get together? If you can't call upon people to do that and you don't got nobody in your network you can do that with, then that means that you need to develop a better network. Yeah. Because reliable, consistent people in your life that show up and do the work. And if you don't have those people right now in your team, on your squad, in your Rolodex, then change your team. You still got time. 2020 is not over yet. So that is all I will say about that. And I'm going to do a call with Veronique. But if you guys really, really liked everything that Veronique had to say, go ahead and give her some feedback. Her email is below at the bottom, and you can reach out to her at that email and tell her how she did. They love hearing about how y'all feel. And I heard and saw some emails from people who already got emails back from speaker attendees. So y'all keep on messaging them. That makes their day. It makes my day. The day is made. So I'm going to get off of here and we're going to switch to Zoom. Bye, guys.